welcome back. I'm Steve,
I'm Ryan.
and we are doing our second installment of the Last Call podcast.
We got through the first one. Flying
We
colors.
did. It was a lengthy one, so we'll try to keep this one a little briefer. For those of you that don't know, Ryan and I are in a band called Steven Snyder and Last Call. That's our fine logo, because we have the best graphics department in the world, which is Ryan. Ryan's our graphics department.
He's Steven Snyder. I'm Last Call.
That's right. Last time we talked about streaming, we're happy to report that our music is back up on all the platforms thanks to Lander. I highly recommend them. They did a great job with helping us out with getting those back up. And today we're going to talk about promotions. I think that's our word of the day. So cheers. Every time that we say promotions, we're going to take a little sip. You guys can do it at home along with us if you're feeling crazy, or you can just laugh at us for being stupid and drinking every time somebody says a keyword like Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Like promotion?
Oh, man. Back in the day, we both started off playing in bands in high school, so very young and a long time ago. And the way that you promoted was you told your friends, you made flyers with some sort of artwork, and you made handbills and large, poster size flyers. You hung them up around your town. You handed them out to people that you knew.
Record stores,
that kind of stuff.
at the venue you were playing at?
For sure, at the venue you were playing at any place that would let you hang them up, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I remember taking them to like Guitar Center, to like anywhere that had a bulletin board. Basically, that stuff would go up at your college, your school, whatever, like community centers. And that was the way you did it. And it was costly, and you would, you had Kinko's. If you were really savvy, you would.
I used to go to the public library.
Yeah, I was gonna say public
I
library.
think it was like a dime per copy or something like that.
Yeah, but even at a dime per copy, it was just really labor intensive. You had a dime per copy, so you were probably spending somewhere between $10 to $20 to promote your show.
Did your bands have like flyer parties where you all would just get together and everybody would sit down and cut, and then we'd all go and, hey, let's take a walk and we're gonna go flyer the area?
No, man.
You didn't do that?
No,
I did.
I mean, that's cool that you had bands that would do that with you. I've just never been in a band where anybody wanted to do the not fun stuff.
Well, Adam, who was also in Last Call, and I were also in a ska punk band that had like 8 people. So
you guys divvied it out.
We always had at least 3 to 4 guys that were willing to do that.
I mean, that's fine. That's better than the one dude. And I'm still primarily the dude. Ryan helps out. Everybody has their roles in our band. I will say, like, everybody's kind of got their things that they do. So it's an even lift. I tend to do a lot of the social and promotional stuff. For a long time, I relied on social media. Facebook ads, probably right before the pandemic. Say the couple years right before the pandemic.
I'm trying to remember. So before Facebook, we had MySpace.
That
was like the OG social media platform. I'm trying to remember how we would advertise for stuff on MySpace.
I don't think, because there were no ads.
And it wasn't really like you had, I'm trying to remember if I even had because you and I were in a band back during the MySpace days.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm trying, I think we had
switched on,
switched on. Should we show the tattoos?
I mean,
you're wearing long sleeves.
I'm wearing long sleeves. We have matching tattoos. That's how lame we are.
Yeah. Shout out to Joey, our other bandmate who has one. But I'm trying to remember if we had a switched on MySpace page. I think we did.
I think, Joey ran all that stuff.
Yeah, Joey ran it. But
I was not part of the promotions in that band.
Yeah.
Promotions.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did MySpace other than you would create a post about it. It was cool because you had, you could go to a band's MySpace and all of their songs were there too. So there was like a media player right there.
That's right.
So you could listen to the band while you were checking out their posts and stuff. I thought that was a nice touch. I wish that was still a thing, but it's not. Oh, well, big deal. You have so many other streaming formats now that it's not even funny. Before Last Call, I did a Foo Fighters tribute band called Deja Vu. And when we were getting started, I would run an ad for every single show. and I would do it very localized to wherever the gig was, and I would really target, like they would let you drill down and really target people. You would occasionally see bands doing ads, and we got up and running a lot faster, I think, because we did that, because we had a gimmick. We were like, hey, we're a Foo Fighters tribute band, come out and see us, and we would like accompany it with like a video clip or something. Like that would be the ad, like, hey, we're playing at Billy Bob's House of Pain on Friday night in Berryville, Virginia, come check us out. And we would target those ads for like that region and maybe like 50 miles around.
So what do you think the average was you paid for that? I'm just curious.
The first couple times, like I went crazy and like was doing these really big ad campaigns for months ahead of time. And then I figured out, oh, if I just do an ad about 2 weeks ahead of time, that's all I need to do. So once I figured that part out, $10 maybe.
Okay, because when you were in Deja Vu, I was in a cover band, and we did the Facebook ads, and I would say we also spent about $10 to $15, and we would do it a couple weeks in advance. I never really saw that much out of it. I wonder if you being a tribute band and having a like really laser focused shtick, helped with that.
But I felt like that it helped us a lot as far as establishing ourselves. We were out of the bar scene by like probably our second gig. And into the theater scene. We were getting contacted by places and people who had seen ads. So to me, it was worth its weight in gold. But I don't like being on there because there's so many ads. Like it's all ads. Like my feed is just, it's like one person's post and then 4 ads and then another person's post and then a bunch more ads.
Yeah.
And I know you can do ads on Instagram. I don't honestly know how to do it. I've never tried.
I have not either.
I'm sure that it's much the same as Facebook.
Well, they're owned by the same company.
Yeah, they're both owned by Meta, I guess Meta. You can also do like ads on YouTube. Like all the social media platforms have ways that you can do ads. But I also feel like that I tend to just scroll past those now. Whereas before the pandemic, I'd be like, oh, cool, let me check out this band. I think you've got a better chance now with a reel or a short.
I mean, of
a performance.
I couldn't tell you the last time I saw an ad from a band like advertising a show. And I mean, I'm also not really on Facebook much. I get on there to post about my gigs or our gigs or whatever. But I couldn't tell you the last time I saw just a paid advertisement. It was like, hey, come see my band.
I've discovered a ton of bands by scrolling through Instagram. Something will pop up. There's this band called the band Feel. They had this whole like advertising campaign, a live performance of them playing in like what looked like a barn or something. The subtitles were like, hey, like if you like Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith and the Black Crowes, you're probably going to like us.
Right.
And so if you're scrolling through and you're muted, you're like, well, I like Black Crowes and those bands. Like I like all those bands they just mentioned, and I would unmute it, and they're really good. They're a great band.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been a bunch of bands that it's live performances, and there's like these shorts or reels or whatever.
Right.
I don't know what they're called on Instagram.
Stories?
Stories, maybe? Yeah, I think it's maybe stories.
Yeah.
There's really short, little, very digestible and very disposable.
Well, then I think they only last a day or two.
Yeah.
And then they go away. You can't go find them again. They're out of your feed.
Yeah.
So,
but I think there's I think that's the shift, is that people do that. These bands do that, and then they rely on shares and people to kind of perpetuate that. And that's been pretty effective as far as me discovering new music. And then the other, way that you can do stuff is you can go to Facebook and you create your event. Let's talk about the event thing for all. You laugh.
No, I still do them. I still do them as well. I don't feel like they give any traction.
They don't. So that's the thing, is, again, circa 2018, you use that to be like, oh, Here and Now's playing at Mainline on the 18th. I want to go to that. I'm going to mark myself as going. And it will be your reminder that you need to go.
Even if you hit interested, it's going to show up for you because you clicked interested or I'm going or whatever. Initially, it was good for the band because we would look at that as, okay, how many people were interested, how many people were going. And that way we could kind of gauge, like, okay, are we going to have a decent crowd tonight? Or are we going to...
I always figured it was like 20% of whatever said they were coming actually would show up. So if it said 1,000 people are interested, and I'd be like, okay, cool. Like, so if we get 200 people out tonight, that'll be a good night.
Right.
You know, and I still find that to be pretty true. I don't think that they're as valuable as they used to be. Like, again, I think there's so much saturation.
Having a band page is also, I feel like, very different now than it was in 2018. Like, people don't like your page, they follow it now. I have a page for my solo music stuff that I will basically post about anything solo music related. I'll post about our band. I'll post about the cover band that I'm in. And I have very few people following that. What I'll end up doing is just going on my personal page and reposting those posts.
Yep.
Which is like double the work and kind of silly. It almost makes me wonder, like, should I even really have a dedicated music page?
I do the same thing, which I think leads in to what I kind of feel is the most effective current promotion thing happening right now, at least for me, is messaging somebody privately and saying, hey, I met you at that bar. You were interested in my band and told me to hit you up the next time I was playing. We're playing. Here's the date. Here's the thing. That has more gravity because then that person is engaged with you one-on-one.
Do you do a group?
No.
Or you do single individual?
I do single individuals. If I'm playing in DC and you live in Charlottesville, I'm not messaging you.
Right.
So I'm only messaging the people I know would be interested in going to a show. So if I know that that's not what you're into, I'm not going to bother you with it. But if I know, like, hey, Ryan likes going to shows, I'm playing a show, just thought I'd let you know, I got a show coming up. The good thing with that I've had luck with is that sometimes there'll be a 2 or 3 back and forth exchange.
Okay.
And I think people are like, okay, I know Steve. I did want to see his band. I actually don't have anything to do that particular night. Or, they'll say, oh man, you know what? I'm busy that night. When's the next time you're playing? And you can go ahead and be like, all right, cool. We're playing this time. Or, hey, I don't know, but I'll hit you up the next time. What my fear is I don't want it to be is that I'm like spamming my friends.
Right.
Would never ever do like the pre-sale ticket crap. Like, hey, I don't do that anymore. I'm not. I mean, yeah, but that used to be there are still certain venues in Richmond, and I'm sure in every town where that's the deal.
Yeah.
And my thing is, I'll promote the show. I'll promote the show as much as possible, but I'm not going to push tickets down people's throats. But I find that the DM thing is really interesting because it engages a conversation. So it's like talking to your friends, like seeing your friend at a party. I've also had a lot of luck with that. Like we do lots of dinners, like with multiple couples. So like we'll all get together at, and there'll be like 15 different couples that come and bring their kids and everybody. It's like a big evening party. And at those, I'll be like, oh, hey, if we've got a show come up, I'll be like, oh, yeah. Because everybody always asks, like, hey, what are you doing with your band?
Right.
That's when I'll be, oh, we're playing a show, blah, blah, blah. Like, come out, see us. Or, hey, we got this new album coming out. So I find like the DM thing is very similar. And Apple now has this like Apple events kind of thing. And I'm sure it's not called that. I'm sure it's called something way more clever than that. But I did that for our last show down at Satellite. And most of the people that I brought out, but almost all of those were people that I had done this Apple event. I had 3 different couples tell me specifically, like they came because I sent them that. And then that automatically synced to their Apple iCalendar. So it automatically put it on their calendar.
They got notifications.
They were reminded. They were like, yeah, that was a great thing. And to me, full circle, back to when we used to tell our friends and hand out flyers and hang them up in the local places. I think there's a personal connection
that
you don't get now with those ads, like with the paid advertising, because I think we all just scroll past the ad.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why you don't see them.
So I guess like what I would like to know from everybody that's out there in YouTube world, like
Substack world.
Yeah, in Substack world, like what do you all like? Like, would you all be bothered if your friend who is in a band, if they were like DMing you and be like, okay, I'm playing a show? Is that something that you would find annoying? Is that something you would like? I think that's the big question: is what's the best way in today's day and age?
Yeah, we know other musicians in town who don't have kids, don't have wives. They can go out to the bar on a Tuesday or Wednesday night.
Absolutely.
And hang with bands that are playing, just hang in general, meet people. I don't do that anymore. I still try to go see bands on the weekends when I don't have shows.
Yeah.
And I try to network that way. You've got the people that like work like the restaurant jobs, and like they're not going out on the weekends because they're working on the weekends.
Yeah, but they're going out to the Tuesday night show at the Camel.
Right.
And they're networking. And so there is definitely a networking benefit. There's two different thoughts on that. So like I could be that's a young man's game and I have kids and I can't do that. Honestly, that's kind of an excuse. If we boil it down to brass tacks, like saying like I can't go out to the show because I have to work in the morning and I have kids. Well, okay, first of all, the show probably doesn't start until your kids are in bed. So if you have a partner that is cool with supporting you doing that, like understands that like, hey, this is a promotion tool, and go out to do that. First of all, you can do it. Maybe you miss tucking your kids in, okay? Like, and I get that sucks. And for the most part, those during the week shows, they're over by midnight. I got to tell you, even if I'm sitting at home alone, I'm probably not going to bed until 11:30ish. And that's, I guess, another thing.
A form of promotion.
It is
supporting your local music scene.
There are bands I would go out to all the time and would be super friendly with the musicians in the band, and they would never come to my shows. And I kind of just don't go to those band shows anymore. And not because I'm not mad at them, but I'm like, well, I've seen you a bunch and you're not reciprocating.
Right.
So I'm going to go out to this other band show because the whole idea there is like, do it. Let's put together a show. Let's, bring your friends to my show. You can come, I'm bringing friends to your show. This road goes both ways. But if it's just hey, thanks for coming out. And listen, maybe they think I'm a terrible musician. Like, it's entirely possible. And I don't.
How would they know if they haven't seen you though?
Well, that's true. Well, maybe they heard my music on the interwebs and they're like, this guy's terrible. I don't want nothing to do with him. You can't expect people just to show up to your stuff.
Right.
Without you showing up to theirs. Because that's what you do. At least that's what I did. I don't know. Maybe I was a degenerate. Like, like I was always at the bar drinking. But I don't do that anymore because I got responsibilities and stuff.
Yeah.
Which, is good and bad.
Well, the other thing that's interesting about that is Steven Snyder and Last Call is an originals band.
It is.
And yes, do we play covers now and then? When we have to. That's not what we want to do. We want to play our originals because we spent the time writing and recording them, and we want to share those with people. In Richmond, Virginia, where we're based, I feel like, and maybe this is totally off base, but I feel like at least 90% of the musicians our age are in the cover band scene.
I think it's higher than 90%. And most people that I know are not in original bands, especially not at.
In our town, at least, it seems like the original band thing is a young man's game.
I think it's. I hear you.
In which case, we're kind of, I don't want to say odd man out, but we are like trying to find the bands that would go well with us on a bill, and trying to seek them out.
Yeah,
is a little more difficult. I feel like because
it is.
It would be super easy for me to ring up 20 to 25 different friends I have that are our age and talk to them about music and what their band is doing. And it's all going to be, well, yeah, our cover band's playing at this place and we're a cover band. So we're doing the full 3 hours because we're a cover band. And that's
we don't need an opener.
We don't need an opener. And and I totally get that because I'm also in a cover band. So
yeah, I agree with you to an extent. I don't think it has to do with age. I think
maybe it's more the mentality. I don't know.
I think if you're in an original band, you're either doing it because you just want to do that and you don't care about this monetary success, or you are you're trying to make that be how you make a living. If like I find that the people that I know, the people that are younger than me that are in original bands, they're also in cover bands. They're playing as much as they possibly can all the time because that's how they teach music.
Right.
They're trying to make a living being a musician. Period. End of story. They would like to do that playing their own music, but if that means that they got to teach piano lessons to 9-year-olds, that's what they're going to do. Whereas you and I are established in our careers, this is our passion.
Right.
It's not what we rely on to pay the bills. It's not what we rely on to even bring any money in.
Right.
We're just doing it for the sake of we want to create art and we want to get it out there and we want people to hear it. So I think there's a difference in that. Now, I will also say that at some point, listen, when you were in your 20s, were you trying to be a musician for a living?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so was I. And I failed. So I got a real job, which is okay. And I think it's okay to say, like, I failed at figuring out how to make it commercial at a young age. Now I've got, and I think a lot of musicians that are adults, and I don't want to make it an age thing. Like it's one of my pet peeves of like, oh, we yell at clouds. I think you get to a certain point in your life where you're like, I want stability.
Right.
I don't want to keep I'm tired of being broke all the time. Like I'm going to go get a job at the Sizzler so that I have health insurance and a 401k and a career path.
Right.
Like I think everybody kind of gets to the point where they're like, this isn't going to pan out. And like, I don't want to be 60 and still having to play shows 7 nights a week to be able to afford rent.
Right.
At some point you kind of have to start planning for the future and realize that like, okay, well, that was cool. I think that then
I want to be 70 playing shows 5 nights a week because I retired and my house is paid off.
Yes. And I think the reason that we see a lot of people that now have day jobs that are in so many cover bands is that that's where the money is.
I will say, as someone who also plays on a cover band on the side, it's nice to get paid for all the time and effort that you've put into learning your craft.
For sure.
We both have spent an enormous amount of money over the years on our gear, on time, learning how to play, how to sing, how to play our instruments. So getting, paid for that is a bonus.
Sure.
Does it pay my mortgage? No. But it's nice that when I do go play out on the weekends and I do a solo gig or a gig with the cover band, that I'm going to walk away with a little bit of money for the time that I spent on it.
Yeah.
And I will say that also fuels the ability to be in a band like Last Call, where I know that, hey, I'm not expecting to get paid out of this, but I've got these other gigs that do that.
Yeah.
So this allows me to really, hey,
you're there because you want to be there.
I'm there because I want to write these songs. I want to be a part of the songwriting process with these.
I would agree with that. I can think of at least 2 different bands where the people in those bands, of people that I know, they can and do pay their mortgage playing in cover bands.
And I know some people. I know a couple of people that are solo acts that that's their
more
job.
Pro tip: there's more money in playing solo acoustic gigs and trying to get your band booked. Trust me.
Yeah.
I've gone down that rabbit hole. So is Ryan. It's kind of shocking because you get paid less for the gig, but your take, because you don't split it with anybody else,
100%.
Your take is more.
Yeah.
And it's way easier. There's
not working around other people's schedules. It's weird, but
if you can play an instrument and sing at the same time, you should severely look into playing solo shows.
Yeah.
It's a good rabbit hole to fall into. It's easier to promote your cover band because it is, hey, we play
this style of music.
Yeah, let's take Tease for example. So Tease was the band we referenced earlier that our matching tattoo buddy Joey's in. They're a 80s hair metal band tribute thing.
Yeah.
And they do, like, dude, it's a great show. If you haven't seen Tease, go see them.
They have real wigs.
Yeah,
real wigs, not fake wigs.
Yeah,
wigs.
They look the part. They
go all out.
They have a great stage setup. They actually have a stage show. They have some moves that I don't know if are choreographed or just have happened naturally over the years. But it's a show. Like it is a production. It is not just your buddy's bar band. It's a show. Like, it's legit.
Yeah.
And those guys are, if you saw an advertisement for them that said, hey, Tease, and even their logo, like, by looking at their logo what they are.
Right.
If that's what you're into and you saw an ad for that, you'd be like, oh, I don't have anything to do on Saturday night. These guys are playing at wherever, and you would want to go see it. If it's an original band, you've got to be familiar with their work or make yourself familiar with their work. I think there's more steps.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's, something that holds people back.
Oh, and, if you're married with kids and, hey, we got a night off, we got a babysitter, we want to go let loose a little bit. You're more than likely
to go see some band that you've never
heard of and take a chance, or do you want to go hear a bunch of music that you're going to like?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. There's been nights where I've drug Kim out to see bands, and I'm like, let's go see this band because I've been wanting to check them out. And sometimes it's like, man, they were great, and sometimes like you get there and like, one of us isn't digging it, we got to go. Like, it's just not. This is not how we're going to spend the babysitter night off.
Right.
And sometimes we go and it's like, oh my God, like, that band was amazing. I'm so glad that we came and saw them. You guys tell us, like, what grabs your eye as a music consumer? What do you like? What do you want to see? What do you not want to see? Like, what annoys you when bands do it? And what do you like when bands do it? We hope to see you guys out there. We've got our music back up on streaming. If you search for Steven Snyder and Last Call on any of the major platforms, we're on all the socials at Steven Snyder Music.
We'll see you on the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers. Promotion.
They chase the virtue